You introduce us. This was your idea.
This is okay. Ready?
Yeah.
You're watching. Actually, you're not watching Sipping Off the Cuff. This
No.
is the Tequila Aficionado,
The Rant.
the Rant. Yes, this is a new segment we're starting because we're not going to take it anymore.
Frankly, we're fed up. We're fed up with the state, the state of the tequila industry. We're fed up. We're fed up with everything. And I'm sure once we do several of these topics, we have a few topics that we want to talk about, that you folks might just start shaking your heads going, yeah,
or do
I
a
agree. Maybe they've got
a cereal hole.
Maybe they have a point. And this was something that Alex brought up to me. We were discussing this offline months ago, beginning of 2024, when things got hot and heavy about the additive-free. What do we call it? The additive-free
cult.
The cult.
Name it, cult.
It's a cult. All right, folks. It's a cult.
It's a cult.
Yeah. Everybody's drinking the same Kool-Aid, and it is time to stop. Well,
no, it's true. It's I have to admit, we actually liked the app. When it first came out, we talked about this.
Yeah, we won't mention the app.
We like the app
because we know that at least 100,000 people are using the app. At least that's the number that we've been given. So there's 100,000 of you. Some of you, the majority of you, are probably influencers, YouTubers, TikTokers.
That's another show.
Yeah,
that's a different rant that we'll have to talk about.
Yes, well, that rant is coming soon. But we thought that we would approach the topic of the app.
Yeah, or actually this whole fiasco with what's happened with TMM, the tequila matchmaker. Everybody in the industry knows what's happened with them, what they've done. They've created or they've influenced and created some type of a quote unquote movement. Obviously, they have gotten the attention of the brands. They've gotten the attention of the public, or those that are in tune with the tequila, mezcal, and the distillate industry. But obviously, the Mexican government has been watching them, and they've got into some trouble.
Yeah.
And you're going to be talking about this, Mike, in your upcoming article on Tequila Aficionado magazine. Superb article that we've had a chance to review. And it is just something that has surprised those that are, let's call them influencers. It's surprised,
for lack of a better term.
Yeah, it surprised really the uneducated, and I'm going to call it that because if you knew and you were in the know, like a lot of people say that if you're in the know, if you're in the know, you know that what they were doing was not appropriate. And guess what? They were given what I called an Al Capone, right? Al Capone couldn't be convicted of murder, but he got convicted of tax evasion. So these guys, were caught doing something that shouldn't have been doing, and now they probably can't even get in the country again.
To my knowledge, they are living out back in the United States. I'm not exactly sure where. There have been rumors about Texas or Florida. It doesn't matter as long as they're, out of Mexico. Although apparently from our sources and from things that we've heard, they've been able to travel back and forth, which is fine. That's okay. It's just for those of you who have been around for a long time and you've seen things happen, just like an agave glut. We've seen that agave shortage, agave glut, and it happens in cycles. Every 5-10 years, you've got a glut, and then you have a shortage, and you have high prices, and you have low prices, and it's you've seen everything. If you've been around the tequila industry for as long as we have, and this is July will be our 25th anniversary of watching the industry and watching how things have happened and
it's pretty predictable. It's pretty predictable too,
Yeah, we saw the writing was on the wall.
Yeah.
We
No.
saw it happening. We saw it coming.
Now, in regards to this whole, we've talked a lot about it. A lot of people aren't aware of what's actually happened. Obviously, they were this organization, if you want to call it that,
It's a
it
company.
was just two individuals
Yeah,
were going out and certifying, quote unquote, certifying or
verifying
verifying, whatever you want to
or
call it,
confirming.
confirming if a distillery was additive free or not. But it's interesting that they took this approach to, or they took this, how do you call it, initiative in going out in regards to additive free, because additives have been around forever.
They're in the normas, folks. It wasn't like this was a hidden thing. And that's the interesting thing that surprised me was that um, the way it was presented,
Yeah.
and you can skew things a certain way to your advantage or to a disadvantage to strengthen an argument. And the way it was brought about was that your tequila may not be 100% agave. Your tequila may contain additives. Okay, the word is actually, it doesn't translate very well. The word is avocantes.
But back up a little bit, Mike. When we talk about 100%, we're talking about the sugars that are used to ferment,
Right.
which is completely separate from the additives.
Yeah.
Okay, if it's 100% agave, it means it's made with 100% blue Weber agave.
Yeah.
It's that simple. Now, if we're gonna talk additives, that is separate from that.
That
And see,
happens at the tail
yeah,
end of the distillation process, first of all.
yeah.
It's it goes, folks, it happens in wine, fortified wines. It happens in rum. Sherry has been doing it for centuries, centuries. Okay. Cognac just as well. Uh, it just it surprises me how many people just jumped on this bandwagon and acted as if the CRT, the governing body of tequila, was hiding this.
Or
It's
the brands, or that the brands were
the
hiding.
brands were hiding it. And no, it's part and parcel of making another style of tequila. That's the way the industry looks at it. Just like mixto is another style of tequila. Okay. Not exactly an expression. The expressions are something completely different. Now, a style of tequila right now is the Cristalino because it is not an officially sanctioned expression. Okay. So technically, it is a style of tequila. And we'll discuss Cristalino some other time if you're not aware. But
Now, Mike, one thing I want to point out is, and you're very eloquent when you explain this, is the fact that the additives have always had a purpose, right? It was an art form,
yes,
right? If you, I mean,
it's
you explain
called
it real
it's called finishing and
exactly.
polishing. And back in the day, and I say prior to the introduction of the diffuser, which happened somewhere around the way we've calculated it to 2000, 2001, and was in production, was in use with Herradura up until 2010 before anybody knew what the hell a diffuser was and what it was doing. It wasn't discovered until 2010. So they've had 10 years of using a diffuser before anybody figured out what the hell is it. Well, the fact that the use of the diffuser allowed the industry, or in this case, Herradura or Brown Forman, to harvest younger plants, get production ramped up, get it onto the market much sooner without having to wait the standard 7, 8, 9 years, 12 years that when we were coming up. There were tequilas that were being used that were using agaves that are 12 years old. I just posted a picture on my Facebook, and you can go take a look at it. It's an old archival photo of piñas from like El Tesoro. This is like archival. It's a black
Those
and white.
giant ones.
Those giant
Those
ones.
giant piñas.
Those giant piñas. That's when they would let them grow. But that's not what's driving the industry right now. What's driving the industry, and we've heard this from Jose Aceves, who you can catch him from Casa Aceves, but when he was being interviewed for some production for Casa Service, what's driving the industry is the sugar content, the bricks. That's what drives the market. And not the age, not the terroir, none of that drives the market. What drives the market now is the amount of sugars in your pina.
So once the pina hits the bricks, whether it's at 5 years or 6 years or
Or
8 years,
2 or 4 years.
that's when they cultivate it.
That's when they cultivate. That's when they harvest it and they put it through the diffuser. And then at the end of it, you've got something that strips the character. There's no terroir, there's no nothing. You don't even know it's tequila. So now we got to make it taste like tequila. And that's where these, either you use the additives that have been always have been included in the normas. Okay. The normas haven't been updated since 2012. Previous to that, I have copies of the 2006 normas, which were still the same, pretty much. And they've always been there. They're allowed for coloring, for consistency. It, again, in the old days, it was an art form. Now with the diffuser, it's become an abuse. Right. And because of the use of the diffuser, the additives, the companies that make additives, these global companies, they're the same ones that put the color in your Pop-Tarts and they put that maple flavoring in your oatmeal. I know, because I have oatmeal once every other day, right? And it sticks to your it's a powder form and it sticks to your fingers. You can smell it all day long and it's not even real. Okay. These companies have had to make the additives much more effective because you're coming up with agave vodka. And we have heard from our sources that the highest selling additive right now is agave. And if you don't believe me, I encourage you folks to go buy a bottle of Cazadores Blanco right now. You can get one. It's on sale. Like we're recording this like before Father's Day. It's on sale for like a 750 is on sale for like 10, 12 bucks.
Sheesh.
All right. Keep one around. And it's the worst. It's the additives are so bad, nobody even cares anymore. All right. It's getting to the point where it's like in Spanish, we have a term that's called se le pasó la mano. A little too much agave. A little too much, you know? And so that's what's going on. Okay. But it's never been hidden. It's always been part of the normas.
Right.
The fact is, the app didn't, in my mind, in the way that I wrote the article, and you'll see that if you haven't subscribed to our magazine, please do so. The article will be called Tequila Wars, and you can't miss it because it's got a very controversial cover and title. And there's a couple of articles there you should really pay attention to. One of those is, of course, the additive article, and I forget where I was headed with this, but the fact is that it's never been hidden. It's always been there, but I don't blame that. The art form has been lost, just like tequila tasting is a lost art because there's so much. I blame celebrities. I blame the big tequila. They're the one, that big push that they want to overtake vodka. And I've said this for months, for years now.
It's not going to fare well. Yeah.
It's not going to fare well because
the same thing's happening with Moscato.
So that's what I hear.
You
Yeah.
only have so many resources. And when you have these big global companies coming into the picture that buy up these craft producers, guess what? They're not going to keep them like that. They want to expand and they want to be able to sell more. I mean, look what's happened with, obviously, Bacardi bought Ilegal, and guess what's going to happen? They're going to increase. They're going to expand their footprint.
It's part of...
It's the nature of the beast.
Yeah. And it is a beast. Make no mistake that the liquor industry, kind of like when I was in radio, I used to say, one of the guys that I worked for was an independent brand radio station owner who eventually sold out to a bigger company because, money talks. I don't blame them. but he said radio eats its young, and nothing does that better than the liquor industry. The liquor industry eats itself. It it's
Wow.
it
That's
it
an ugly image.
well, you know, it's the snake. It's the snake. It's eating its tail. That's what the liquor industry does. And it's all for the sake of the bottom line for the investors. Where I said that TMN fell short is that it didn't teach anybody anything. The videos did. The videos did. They were professionally done. I love the material. The blogs did. Sadly, it also incriminated the owners
Right.
because everybody was watching.
Right. Now, one thing that I really dislike, and this kind of spills over to the influencers, is the fact that that also created an environment where people were saying, don't drink this, drink that. And, to the point where they're dictating what you should be drinking and not drinking, which I take offense to that because I mean,
How dare you?
there's
Who
an
are you?
there's an influencer that actually his tagline is drink what you like. But really drink what you like when you're telling people what to drink and what not to drink. It doesn't make
Yeah,
any sense.
it's a double-edged sword. It, and I take the other thing too, and I saw it today. This past week, and you and I spoke on the phone earlier this week before we decided to go ahead and do something like this. It's like this week has become, let's rag on the big tequila bandwagon now. What are we? Are we in grade school, ladies and gentlemen? Are we? You know what? You're fat. Yeah, but it's become a game of
Your
dozens.
mama,
Your mama.
your
It's become a game.
mama.
It's become a game of dozens. Your mama's so fat that when she sits around the house, she sits around the house. Really, ladies and gentlemen, are we children? Can we not? Can you know what? First of all, to me,
It's got pretty stupid.
it's gotten stupid.
Yeah.
They're using videos of The Rock and they're using videos of Randy and stupid shit that Matthew McConaughey continues to do because he's always high. Let the guy drink the tequila that he wants. It's coming from a great distillery, and you people are still saying that it's got additives in it. Do you even know what that means? Do you know how to find it? No, because that's where the app falls short. It didn't teach anybody anything. And honestly, I have a problem with that. You can, like you said, you can tell people to drink what they like. I get it. We're a nation that loves sweetness. We are. And it's not just white Anglo-Saxon Protestant. Latin America, we invented sugar.
Yes.
We make booze out of
sugar
rum.
cane.
We make it out of sugar cane. Remember when we were kids, they used to make the old C&H commercials where you see the kid eating
La caña.
la caña. Do you have any idea what that does to your teeth when you eat that stuff? It eats the enamel off your teeth. But did that bother us? No, because it was C&H and it was Hawaiian. Come on. Okay, look. The fact remains that what's important now, regardless of what happens to the owners of TMM, hopefully they stay safe. But whatever happens, it requires you folks to be educated. Find a way to educate yourself. And there's more to it than that too, because there are certain brands that these influencers, these people that are harping on, to get clicks and to get likes and to get followers, they're always the same. I used to call big tequila the usual suspects. You always know who they are: Sauza, Cuervo. You go to any bar, any chain restaurant, you go, let's see who owns this bar. Let's see. I got the usual suspects. I bet it's Southern Wine and Spirits or Southern Glaciers, right? You could just tell. You already knew who
Don Julio,
Don Julio,
Patron,
Patron,
Cuervo,
yeah, Cuervo. You already know who owns
Casamigos
the bar.
now.
Yeah, Casamigos. You already know what major distiller owns the back bar. Okay. But by the same token, you pay attention to, oh, look, there's that brand. There's Fortaleza. And Fortaleza has become the Pappy Van Winkle. We can go on a whole other show about that. But the fact is that there are other brands that are very worthy. And I think that that's where where Tequila Aficionado has always been the kind of website and magazine where we keep looking for that extra, that something new, something different, and it didn't have to be tequila. It could be bacanora, raicilla. You know, now people are beginning to see sotol. They're beginning to see all these other Mexican distillates and distillates all over the world now. It's not just Mexico. So it's time for everybody to open up their palate and be more accepting of what is becoming available, because very soon you're going to see agave spirits coming out of different countries. I mean, I've been told the best agave spirit in the world comes from Venezuela. I've never been able to get it.
And you got pulque coming out, pulque with the first and only denomination of origin for pulque in Ecuador.
We've had it.
So
We've had it in at Tequila Aficionado, sipping off the cuff. Acara is one of the finest agave spirits going, and that's I think that's from Peru, I believe. I Right now it escapes me because I've had way too much cascahuin. But anyway, apart from that, what I'm saying is it's time to open up and to be more accepting of agave spirits from all over the world. Don't wait for China to fake it and make another tequila, because they're going to do it eventually. That's why there's a CRT office in China, not because in Shanghai, I believe, not because they want to create a great relationship, but because they want to keep an eye on that trademark.
their watchdog,
It's the watchdog. That's what the CRT is. It's not. Again, there were people out there on social media saying that the CRT is corrupt, and of course they're going to go after the little guy. And let me put it to you this way: tequila is a trademark, and it's owned by the country of Mexico. The CRT is the one that's right now. The CRT is the one in charge of taking care of the trademark and the agency, the denomination of origin, the DI, the GI, I'm sorry, and geographic indicator. That's their job. So let me get this straight. So if China is making fake Levi's can go into China and shut them down, because Levi's is a trademark.
Right.
Disney, they've got a theme park in China. You know why? Because they were getting knockoff Mickey Mouses all over China. And you know what? Instead of letting them get away with it, they just built the theme park there, just like they did in France. Okay? That's how you protect your trademark. That's how you do it. And they are doing nothing but protecting their trademark. That's why they did what they did. And they didn't have to go very far. It wasn't like they were being, invasive and investigative, because TMM didn't hide anything. It was all there.
Right.
And by the way, if you guys are friends of the Shanshagrins, and I can't say I've met them one time online. That was it. Years and years ago. I was still living in Texas. But if you're friends of them, you posting pictures of their booze that they made
is incriminating.
It's hurting them, folks. Don't do it. Take it down. It's probably too late now if you didn't take it down. It's not about it isn't about fighting the big guy and the little guy. It's not about that. It's about intellectual property. That's what it is. It's business, ladies and gentlemen. It's business.
Now, one thing is the whole additive-free movement, alliance, whatever you want to call it. Pick up another initiative. There is far more things, so much more important, that will benefit the industry that is not about additives. Pick one.
Yeah, pick one. I have one. I have two. For years, I've written the book. It's available. You can get it on Amazon. It's called Vinazas. The tequila industry's secret little,
dirty little
secret. Thank you. And Vinazas it's interesting because what vinazas is the wastewater that is the byproduct of making tequila. Okay, here's some math. Just do the math, and I bring this up every single time I get a chance. It takes 10 liters of water to make 1 liter of tequila, 1 liter of cascahuin. Okay,
That's a lot.
that's a lot. But when you're done, you have 10 liters of wastewater. Now, let me tell you, bagazo is separate from vinazas. Bagazo is the fibrous byproduct. Yes,
The
you can.
fibrous waste.
Yes, the fibrous waste that you can make bricks from. Okay, that's what you can make bricks from. Bricks, as in like bricks, like Adobe bricks.
Building bricks.
Building bricks. I don't know who lives in Adobe made out of vinazas anyway, but anyway. But that's bagazo. Vinazas is something different. That's the liquid byproduct. What are they doing with it? In its heyday, when I wrote that book that cost me a lot of relationships, it was being sold as, oh, it's fertilizer for your new agave. And they would dump it hot because you have to let it cool off. You have to treat it before you can dump it onto the fields. It was killing. It gets into the subwater, the aquifers, and it's bad for the plants. It's bad for everything. That pollution, again, you take that math and you multiply it by anything. Let's say sales, the last number I heard of Terramana sales was what, 900,000 cases. And a case is what, nine 1-liter bottles, something like that. That's considered a case. Do the math. That's just sales. That's not production. That's just sales. Where's all that stuff going? Who's dumping it? Well, somebody's lake.
Are they treating it?
Are they treating it?
And where are they putting it?
That's you know, that is one issue. You have water issues that are a problem with. That's why we had Valor Tequila as one of our featured tequilas at El Cholo. They have a wonderful program that you're just launching that just takes care of that community where they're at, and that's what I love about Valor, because they're
giving back.
They're giving back
to the community.
One of our writers in this issue that's coming up, one of our writers attended a show where in San Diego, where one of the owners of a brand said, he looked around they were on a panel, and one of the owners of a particular brand on this panel said, I see that there are no influencers in this room. And what are the influencers doing to give back to a community? Because some of you guys are making $5,000 to $8,000 for a static ad on Instagram. Really? Really? And you're not reporting it. You're not giving back. You know who you are. You know who you are. If you're watching this, you know who you are. Don't feel guilty on my account. But because a brand owner brought this up,
right? What
are the influencers doing to give back to a community? I never even thought of that. You know, because personally, for me, I like the bat friendly program. I think the species needs to be protected. Monoculture is going to. We've said this for a long time. Monoculture is going to kill the tequila industry because there's going to come a time when you have a pest that they can't fight, and it's going to kill off a lot of agave, and that's going to spike the price of agave through the roof, bigger than we've ever seen. And they're going to be looking at other countries to get blue agave, which you can get from Australia, you can get from South Africa. You know, there are gene pools now that you can buy. Can you imagine if Mexico has to buy back the gene pool that they started?
That's not too far-fetched.
No, that's not too far-fetched. It's not crazy. Not at all. We have to buy blue agave now that doesn't have a disease on it.
It's like
from
Australia. It's like the phylloxera.
Africa.
Yeah, it's like what the wine industry experienced years ago with the phylloxera. It killed all the vines, and they had to graft vines that were resistant to this pest. Crazy.
Folks, don't let it get to that point. There are other things that you can be worried about, that you can do something about. You can do something about that. You can't do anything about additives. You can't. It's part of the rules. It's a loophole, right? It's a loophole. It's there. It's not
Sure.
perfect, but you know what? They can police it and they can shut you down, and that's exactly what the CRT did.
Yeah.
So you
Yeah.
know,
It's a thing. The thing with this country that we're living in, a lot of things are allowed.
yeah.
You've got stuff that's banned in Europe.
Oh yeah.
Skittles are banned in Europe, but yet you can buy them here and your kid could buy them. So, what are we really fighting for is really the question. Well,
Pick a crusade.
there you go.
We all have our crosses to bear. I like to call it a crusade. Pick your crusade and stick to it. The additive-free alliance, that's not a crusade. That's a losing battle. Pick something that you can be more proud of. Pick a brand like as a matter of fact, show the bottle. What the hell? We're not being sponsored, okay, folks. This is not a sponsored post or anything. We're drinking Cascaween. We've
Nice.
never done a sipping off the cuff of Cascaween. You know why? Because we know it's an expensive tequila to make. We know who the makers are. I know who brought them to everybody's attention. Why all the other influencers jumping on bandwagon for that. But so if you support a cause, a crusade that makes sense, like Vanasas or Bat Friendly, or what do they call it? Water. There's a term that they're calling it water insecurity, something like that. Let's support that. I'm not even talking about building Adobe buildings out of bricks. That's not a, you know what? To me, and I know this is that's a nonprofit as well. I don't know how many people I've ever encountered in Jalisco that are living in Adobe brick buildings. How many libraries are made out of Adobe bricks? I don't know. Okay. But I don't see any. I don't see any. Let's let's
Interesting.
let's you know let's can we just please agree on finding an issue that we can promote or we can do something about with our money, with our wallets. Let the Rock be the Rock. God bless him. Let P Diddy. Oh, P Diddy stopped. He can't do that. He can't do that anymore.
No, let Class Azul do what the heck they want.
Yeah, yeah,
At the end of the day, this is the way I see it. Class Azul is probably the gateway to the next tequila geek that will then be introduced to a Cascaween, a Fortaleza, a Cascanes, whatever the influencers are talking about
yeah.
now. But
Lost
there's
Lore
just
is another one.
lost
That's
or
the one that's coming out.
there's so much beautiful juice out there, but let people drink what they want. There's no need to bash people. There's no need to bash
Yeah.
Patron. No need to, just like I've always said, if it wasn't for Cuervo, we wouldn't have a tequila industry. If it wasn't for Salsa, we wouldn't have denomination of origin. If it wasn't for these brands that, yeah, now they aren't, up to where, your palate might be, but they were the forefathers and they need to be respected.
Do the research too, folks. Don't be afraid to delve into the history. If you're gonna be a dabbler, I get it. You're gonna be a collector, I get that too. I've known collectors for 20 some odd years. It surprises me how much money these collectors really spend. I mean, oh my gosh, I could tell you stories. But you know, but if you're gonna be a student of this, make sure that you do the research, back engineer everything you can. Don't even believe us. Yeah, we've been around for 25 years. We've seen shit come and go. But do your own research. There's stuff that's out there that and sadly, because of social media now, it's like, who do you trust? There are listicles, that's what I call them, listicles, that tell you that drinking tequila is good for your blood sugar. Guess what? It's not. Okay, that's a fallacy. The 10, what do they call it? There's always a list of 10. The 10 health benefits of tequila. Did you know? That's lazy writing, first of all. And number two, it doesn't exist. Gluten free, everything distilled, especially from a plant in tequila, is all gluten free. Just like kosher, all Blanco tequilas are by de facto kosher. Okay. So, educate yourselves, folks. We're going to do as the best we can, as we always have, and we always will, to tell you what the real things that are out there. But if you're going to put your trust into who you follow because he's got a New York accent or he looks like Rod Serling, or maybe because he's based in your neighborhood, he's based in your state. There's something better. There's something deeper. And the way you convince yourself is to try something like this. Try something that's a throwback tequila. This is the kind of stuff that you and I grew up with. That we would
That's old school.
Yeah, I mean, I remember when Herradura was
What, you
so
remember who?
Herradura,
There you
excuse me.
go.
I remember when
You're not a white boy.
Herradura Blanco, it used to say Blanco Suave on the bottle, and that's when they
Mm.
had the old bottle that they didn't brown form in the bottle, right? And that bottle of Blanco Suave was $40 a bottle back in the day, in
Wow.
the early
Buy all
90s.
that all day long.
Yeah, but I didn't have the money for it. It's like that was my glass ceiling. But the juice was outstanding. And that's sadly it's not the same anymore.
No,
You know,
it's unfortunate.
yeah, it's unfortunate, but keep looking for those families. Listen to people who know the history of the family. We were uh you made me a margarita with Hacienda Vieja.
Yeah.
Unbeknownst to some people, but we did the tasting. We've done the reviews. You can find it on our YouTube channel. Hacienda Vieja is being made by the original people who used to make um, uh,
Cazadores.
Cazadores before it was sold to Bacardi or Bacardi. I can pronounce that like a white guy, right? Bacardi, not Bacardi, because
Bacardi.
tiene acento en la I at the end.
Bacardi.
And
Correcto.
by the way, that's not a Mexican company. That is an international Spanish company. Okay. So they don't have to report their numbers to anybody. They are privately held, family owned, just like the Brown Foreman family. Same thing. See, that's what I'm saying. Do your research, find out where this is coming from. So Hacienda Vieja tastes like old school cazadores. You drink it all day long. They still make it the same way. And that's what I love about.
You can't beat that Blanco for
No, you
twenty
can't beat
dollars.
that Blanco for a margarita.
$20 for a 750?
Yeah. And there's no diffuser on that distillery, not like there is in the Bacardi distillery. So again, just find out who you trust, put your faith in them, and then, just be prepared to die on that mountain. Because that's what happens. You're going to die on that sword. Pick a crusade that you can do something about, not something you can't do anything about. Because until
Yeah.
yeah,
This whole additive free thing, it just died on the vine because it's just the normas, the laws prohibit even TMM and their crusade from doing what they were doing. I mean, from initially actually using CRT lab reports to doing it themselves. And, we've interviewed many brands that have had the TMM staff come through, and I'm not going to say what they did, but it's pretty ridiculous, to then certify them or confirm them or what have you. So some say it's a money thing, some they say it's not. Obviously, we all do things that benefit us, right? And that I'm sure that's what they were doing. But unfortunately, it's done.
yeah,
It's done.
it's
And the CRT, who knows if they'll ever come out with an additive free program? Because as I was talking to a big proponent of, or one of the first proponents of TMM, I'm not going to say names, but their master distiller told me, and that they're really stepping on themselves, because how can the CRT or any agency that certifies all these tequilas actually have an additive free program when you've got so many of the tequilas using abocantes and softeners and all this other stuff? It just doesn't fit. They should have just said nothing about it. Maybe collaborated with TMM. I don't know. Who knows? But this whole thing was a crapshoot from the beginning, I think.
Yeah, it was tequila's a long game any way you look at it. And anything that you do um as a crusade. I mean, this Vanassus thing, I've been talking about it for over 10 years. Has anything been done about it? Not really.
Well, some have their efforts,
Yeah,
of treating Vinasas and doing something with it. But I mean, usually it has to be a company that has the resources for that.
right. It has to be on an individual basis.
Right.
And that might folks who are you visiting distilleries, ask them these questions. What are you doing with your Vanassus? What do you not what you do with your bagasso? What do you do with your Vanassus? What are you doing with the wastewater?
Nobody talks about that.
What are you doing? We mentioned Patron earlier on. Patron is the largest user of water in the Highlands, and people don't know this for a fact. But there are a couple of times during the day where the town itself has no water because Patron's using it. They have to shut down the water because Patron's using it.
Wow.
So, you know, and that's sometimes the cost of doing business. That's why Patron gives back to the country. It does. Jose Cuervo does. Look what they've done with tequila. You and I wrote an article on tequila, and it's not even a shadow of what it was when we first showed up.
Right.
It's Tequila Landia.
It's a bustling town now.
Yeah, with tour buses and you got the flying the flying guys in the middle of the square, and you've got churros, and you got every influencer taking photos, because selfies or it didn't happen, right? But it's not and it used to be, and I used to tell people, you could walk in the square of Tequila and you could smell agave cooking from La Rojena, which is the original distillery, which is still there, but got a different nom number now.
Now you smell exhaust because
Now
there's
you
so much
smell car
traffic.
exhaust. You can't smell agave in the air. You don't know what it smells like, and it's sad because there's a lot of locals that go there. A lot of people from Mexico, a lot of young people who are going to tequila because they're learning about how their own country is making tequila, and
Right.
they're missing out
Right,
on
right.
the old charm that was there.
Yeah.
They didn't have the experiences that you and I had when we were younger. So
Very
again,
good.
uh, just there's more research that needs to be done on an individual basis, and that falls on you guys. That falls on you people watching, not just doom scrolling through your phone, okay, on Instagram and looking for TikTokers. That's if you're gonna get into this, get into it the right way and do your research,
Right.
and take everything with a grain of salt, man. Everything that anybody says. You, me, that guy over there with the New York accent, the other guy looks like Rod Serling, the guy from the local watering hole, the other one that looks like he's just been through a 10-day bender. All these people. Just do your research. And if you have questions, ask. Ask. Don't be afraid to reach out. All these people are easily accessible. Slide into their DMs.
Good show.
Okay.
Good show.
But that's I think that's our take.
That's our take.
I
Yeah.
think we beat this dead horse to death. So
There's no horse left.
no,
this
it's
is
become dog food.
This is our inaugural
Our inaugural
rant.
Call it the rant.
The
Tequila
rant.
Aficionados,
The rant. Because we got a lot of stuff that we've been internalizing.
We've been holding back
So-
on.
So this is just what 40 something minutes worth. So we're gonna end it here.
I think that's a good idea. If you've been watching this long, thank you for watching. If you have anything else to add and you're paying attention, leave us a question, leave us a comment. Share it with friends that they're going. These guys they're onto something, or these guys are freaking crazy. Look what this guy is saying. But for whatever, just share it. We're trying to get the message out that education is important. Make sure you're being educated. If you're following somebody who is not educating you and you can't use it to make an informed decision, next buying decision, next.
Yeah. And no problem going down the rabbit hole of tequila and agave spirits and distillates.
We're still in that rabbit hole, man.
Just do it with your eyes open.
Yeah.
You know,
Wear
that's really what you
wear
got.
one of those mining helmets
There
with
you
the light on
go.
because you're going to need one.
There you go. Well,
And keep an eye out for the bats.
I'm Alex Perez.
I'm Mike Morales.
You've been watching and listening to, what are we going to call this?
The
The
rant.
rant, the
The rant.
Tequila Aficionado rant. Thanks for watching.
I didn't bring my clapper.
And as always, sip wisely.